All right, boys and girls, here we are, ready to go to the next one. There's DC, ready to go on for a roll reveal 2024 Philadelphia. This is reveal number 737. Got Paul Adams, I got Shiny Coin Guy, Mickey Fur, DC. Got a whole crowd over in the other reveal that we just had. Hopefully they'll follow us over here. So we've got a 2024 Philadelphia roll. This comes from the same box from which I've been selling 2024 Philadelphia. So if you happen to have purchased rolls from me, your rolls will contain likely the same dies as the roll I'm about to open. And we'll find out together what is likely in them. I'll be looking for anything really high grade here too. I have seen really high grade coins come out of some of the rolls that I've had. All right, here we go. 24 Philadelphia. Right there looking at us. Staring at us like a deer in a headlight. All right, here we get going here. Coin number 1 will go to Eric Beyer. Check this for grade real quick. This one's got a little spottiness on the reverse, a little spottiness on the obverse. Looks about like your typical 2024. Oh, I've got to pick the angle of my lighting up. And then turn my exposure down. Was driving and caught not one red light. There you go. Thomas Meadows, you from Kentucky? Is that what we're saying here? Let's see. Let me turn the lighting down just a little bit more. Gotta get this just right so we've got the right amount of lighting so we can see all the little marks and all the little dings. Everything we need to see. Okay. Looking for double dies, very high grade coins, die clashes, breaks, cracks, pretty much anything that we can see just to talk about. And on the reverse here, especially interested in looking for double dies. Don't know that we will find anything, but you never know. You can't know unless you check, right? All right, here we go. Coin number 1 and done. I'm going to move my keyboard out of the way since I don't need it right now. Coin number 2 is going to go to Roy Wheeler. No, that was die scratches. That right there. This happens to be the exact same die. Yeah, this was an abrasive that was meant to polish the die, and usually a rotary wheel with little wires or something, and it will polish marks off of the field in the die. Feeder finger scrape is generally going to be a very shiny thing that tears up the field. It does look quite similar, somewhat similar to what we just saw, but because what we saw had little parallel lines, not a feeder finger. That's not easy to say. Just realize that. That's not easy to say. All right, coin number 2. Moving right along now to coin number 3. We're going to look at the obverse and reverse, the first 10 coins. Then we'll move over to obverses only. This one's got, hey, look at that. It's called trail die. It's where there's different opinions about how these are called or how these are formed. The person who first started reporting these and recording their existence said that it had to do something with how the metal liquefied during the process of making a hub, and or making a die, and I wholeheartedly disagree with that. Basically, what this is a die polishing with a brush, a rotary brush, and the bristles of the brush basically follow the tracks of the letters. And you remember, on a die, the letters are actually impressed onto the die so that they're a cavity. And when you take a rotary brush, like a spinning Dremel tool, and if you imagine a spinning Dremel tool with really, really, really fine wires as the bristles, and those really fine wires are whirling around and you're polishing something on the die, what you end up with are trails where those bristles pop out of that cavity and do extra damage to those small areas on the die surface, and that translates to the coins. And that's what it looks like. You can see that there's die polishing all over this die. Little tiny lines. And those lines come out relatively well, actually, on the date here. You can also see it over on Liberty. But that's called trail dies. Some people collect them. Some people think they have value. I personally don't. I think they're a normal part of treating a die. All right, let's take a look at the reverse on this one. So that's going to be our trail die. And when we see a trail die, we'll know that we have seen what we're looking at here, because this is the reverse pair of the same die we've just looked at. So next time we see one of those, we've got it in mind that we're going to see something like that. And, well, we can skip over looking at that reverse if we don't find anything here, because it's going to be the same as this one. I don't see anything on this coin. So, for Chubby Pup Chaser, we're going to make coin number 3 is a normal coin. Move on to number 4. And number 4, Tawanda. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so this one's not that same die. So we do have a possibility of something new to look at. Let's see what it is. A lot of times the double dies will show up as extra thick letters, kind of smooshed and smeared over in one direction. Why die polishing? Because they could have had a mark, a tool mark, a small clash. There's all kinds of different things that could have done that. Plus, if they get something on the die, they just polish it off real quick so that it will make nice, clean-looking coins. It's not really a scientific thing as to why, but they're just knocking the crap off the die. Let's see here. Let me look at this for grade. Okay, that one's got a few too many little spots on it to grade. Coin number 5 for Mickey. Also not a grader, but we'll see what else it might be. Another one of the trail dies. Another one of the trail dies right there. So same die we saw 2 coins ago. And so the reverse, we're still going to see nothing. Make all these corners on these letters so buffed and rounded that it's hard to see notching if there's any doubling, minor doubling. I think that might be on purpose. They're trying to do it so that any minor doubling won't show. James Valley, good day to you. So you've got that same thing on your 2024? It could be a relatively more common process now than it used to be, but it used to be a little more difficult to find those trail dies, especially real good ones, where the dye has basically been chewed up by whatever rotary brush was used to clean it. These initials down here are always a good place to look, too, for that extra stretching, extra, you know what I'm saying, extra thickness to make up a double die. Coin number 7 now, Coins and Ghouls. Definitely not a grader. Let's see. Got spots on this one. That's the first die that's got those die scratches on it. Really flattened out reverse die there. Artist initials on the front. The VDB. On the artist initials on the front. Victor David Brenner, guy who originally designed it after a 1907 bust created by the same person. Was hired by President Theodore Roosevelt to transform his design into a $50 design. And the director of the mint said, "No, we need it for the penny, not the $50." So then he transferred it to a penny design, and it became the Lincoln cent. Nothing else much about it. I haven't seen anything unusual in that area on any of these coins. I've never seen the VDB doubled, but if it's stretched out, because it's in cuse, if it's stretched out, that's going to be machine doubling. What you're going to see, if it's a double die, it's actually going to be narrower than it should be, narrower than usual. Nice clean looking strikes here pretty much. That's about all that's clean about these. Frank, will die scratches keep a coin from being graded highly? No, it will not. Die scratches are just a part of die treatment during its use. Grading a coin is all about how it was struck and how well it was preserved, but not what was actually on the die. Let's see. That's an interesting little mark right there. That is raised. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's right there on the middle stripe of the shield. Well, it's not the exact middle of the shield. That's funny. That's an odd-looking little thing. It's definitely raised because when I pull it out of the light, it's still shiny. That's a nifty little thing. I don't know what that is. I mean, it was definitely on the die, so most likely it's some sort of a dent in the die that comes out as a little struck-up thing on the coins. There's another one of those. I won't even bother flipping this one over. Not really much of a reason to, because we already know what the reverses look like on this particular die pair. I will look at it for grading, though. Not a grader. It does. It does look a little bit like the part of a letter, but a thing about that is there's this word called pareidolia. Pareidolia is when your eyes tend to try to make a shape out of something that really doesn't exist. Kind of like when you look at a fire hydrant, it kind of looks like a dog with a hat on. And or when we're looking at clouds and we pick specific shapes out of the clouds, that's pareidolia. And pareidolia always seems to strike us funny when it comes to coins when we're looking for things, because you're kind of looking for it. You're looking for something. Then you're looking to make something into something that it isn't necessarily. It hits a lot of us. You're looking at a coin, you think you've got something particular, and you don't. Number 13 now, back to Eric. Well, anybody who really likes the trail dies is going to get fun out of this roll, because, man, there's a bunch of those in here. A little bit more die polishing there. Keep flipping over just a little bit to see if we can see that thing on the back of another coin prove that it was actually in the die. Because if you see it on more than one coin, it was something that happened to the die. That's right. The more you look at it, the more likely you are to find it. That was not a bubble in the copper. It was too solid looking for it to be a bubble. And frankly, the newer zinc scents don't really have those bubbles nearly as much. They must have done something to the zinc planchet wash to really clean them off well before they plated them in copper, because you just don't see that stuff like you used to. Does everybody out there hit the like button for me, if you will? Nothing else, the like button measures up to being a thank you for the good job done teaching me something. It's kind of like the way I like to look at it. So many people forget to. They don't mean not to, they just forget. It's another one of the same die as before. A little bit more of that die polishing up there around the word God. There's another one. So that's definitely not a bubble. A bubble wouldn't have like those little lines running across it from the planchet itself. It wouldn't be. It looks like a V. It does. It looks like a V. That could be the same little booger that caused the V's on the 2023 cents, right? Nope. Now it looks more like a oval or something. That's a weird little thing. I don't have any idea what that is, but it isn't anything major. It's just something I happen to notice, because I look at a lot of the details when I'm looking at these coins. Yeah, it's a D-mint mark. We can go with that. But you know, I mean, if somebody took... Okay, there are people who don't have a lot of scruples. Not much moxie, you know. They'll find something weird like that, give it a name, stick it on eBay, and call it like that. And they preach it like it's gospel. And a whole bunch of people will buy into it, when the person who did it doesn't know what they're talking about, doesn't really have any reason to be selling them like that other than a money grab. So When you are a person like me, you watch very carefully what you say about the value of things because people might take it more or less seriously. I noticed that little spot. I wanted to take a longer look at it. Doesn't mean it has any value. Hello, JM. Let's see. Take a look at this one from Mark. Relatively nice, clean-looking, fresh obverse, except for the word God. We've seen this one before, too. That is that. Got that little bumpy-looking thing on there. That might even be a bit of rust. Just a periodolic bit of rust that looks almost like a little letter. Yes, so I'm saying at least $1,000 each. That's with my pinky up to my mouth like Dr. Evil. What was his name? Is that what his name was? Dr. Evil? No. That is actually kind of cool. I kind of like those. But somebody would have listed that as one of the trail dies and tried to assign value to it so people would be trading those on eBay for money. How about no, Scotty? She's worth $1 million. That's going to have another one of those little things. All of them that have this little raised area and the polishing around God, and that's it. Everything else is nice and clean. It's going to have that little sideways V-looking thing up there. Interesting little guy. Who knows what it is? Hello, Otis. Good day to you, sir. Well, not really finding anything in this roll other than a trail die obverse and a, well, somewhat odd-looking little mark in the middle of the shield. It's definitely a die issue because we're seeing it over and over again. Here's another one. This is going to be another one of them. I'll show you guys, just popped in. I'll show you what it looks like. See it right there? This little thing right here. This little thing of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Well, that's what it is, and I don't have any idea exactly what that is. But it was evidently damaged to the die in one way or another because it's showing up on all the coins from that die pair. Missed what a trail die is? There's different opinions as to exactly what caused it, but a trail die is where you have little lines or raised trails coming up from the corners, edges of the letters. You see that this 2024 is nice and clean looking, normal, clean looking. I'll mention the next trail die and I'll explain again when we see it what I believe it is. That's right. If you don't know what it is, it must be worth $1 million. There's another one of them right there. Just an interesting little booger. Yeah. It's the V reverse. Hey, Grandpa Tim. No. Haven't found anything. These are the first 2024 sends I've ever seen. So, no, nothing. Not yet, anyway. I won't forget you, Paul. Next time I see one of the trail dies, I'll make sure I show it to you. They're actually more or less rather obvious, but what they are is a little less than obvious, so I'll try to explain it when I find it. Well, good day, Eric. Nice to see you here, sir. Roher. Got probably the spottiest coin I've seen in this roll yet. So, Eric, we have found coins with this. No real good idea as to exactly what that is. A little raised thing that looks like a sideways U or a sideways V right in the middle of the shield. Seen that on a number of coins now. No real good idea what it is, but seen it nonetheless. And the other thing that we have been finding in this 2024 Philadelphia roll is trail dies, trail die obverse, which to me has no extra collectible value. Can't be a die chip, James. Die chip would be a lot cleaner on the edges than that. Next one we see, I'll show you what a die chip looks like because there is one. This, for Frosty, is a trail die. You can see, Paul, that you've got these lines. That's the reason I've got it angled like that, so the light shines on those lines really well so you can see them. What I believe that is a little bit of die polishing that happened with some sort of a rotary tool where the bristles got caught up in the cavities of the die and skipped up onto the surface of the die where the field is, and because they were clustered into the cavity of the die when they popped out, they actually did a little extra sanding around the corners of the letters and created these little lines. Now there might be a secondary cause for trail dies, but that's what this looks like to me. And sometimes they're all over the surface of the coin, like this one, and then sometimes they're only in rather specified smaller areas. But yeah, all of these are roughly the same when we see them. So I'm going to move back over to just looking at obverses because we're halfway through the roll now. If we're going to find any double die reverses, we would have. Next time I see one of the coins, it's going to have the little thing at the top. Here's one of them right here. A little thing on the shield. I'll tell you why. It's definitely not a die chip. I for sure saw a die chip on one of these. And know there's die chipping around the T. Okay, so here I'll show you a die chip. That right there is a die chip. It's very, very sharp around the edges. That's because the metal is actually broken out of the die there. And the metal of the planchet is actually filling in that cavity in the die. So it's very, 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 very sharp, like a bolt of lightning, like a crack in a sidewalk. Okay, it's like the broken out piece of the sidewalk. Fill it up with clay. You pull your clay out and you've got a bump because you've got a missing piece of the sidewalk. Same thing here with this crack. But if you look up here, nowhere near the same effect. It's very soft edged. That means it's just a pushed cavity into the die, pushed, pressed, or hubbed into the die, and is not a break in the die at all. It's actually part of the design on the die. Not saying that it was intended as a part of the design, but it ended up being a part of the design on the die. Now, this up here is actually a zinc bubble. That little guy right there is a zinc bubble. It's more or less round. You can see that outside the round of the zinc bubble, you can see a little raised, lighter area around it. That happens when your plating gets crap underneath it, basically, and the plating starts to expand. But this isn't that. It's not the same thing. You get more of the little Humpty bumps. There's the beginning of a die crack right there. That's what the beginning of a die crack looks like. There's another one right there. More Humpty bumps from plating. That's what those are too. and they're small. They're pointy, small and pointy, kind of like drops of water on a newly polished car. And this is a design. It looks like it's something that was pressed into the die, and it was. So there's your differences in the little marks that you see. So we'll continue here, and we will pop through the obverses on the rest of this roll and see what we come up with. Was that die crack appears on many years. The big ones are worth a little, not much. To some people, I'm sure. I personally don't pay anything extra for die cracks because die cracks are generally pretty common. Now, there becomes a point where a die crack actually does have value, and that's when it cracks all the way through the die. Then you have what's called a broken die. Oh, awesome. Sounds like you had a good productive day, Eric. I enjoy good productive days. I've been having some good productive days lately. It's almost like I'm on a mania or something. And I think a lot of it's because for the first time in many years since I've been on insulin for the last month, I'm starting to feel normal, like I used to. I feel less like a freaky old man that can't get up and do things, has to sleep all the time, although I did take a nap today. Oh, that 55S with the blown off head, yeah, that's a really interesting thing. Oh, the 35D roll short past 1,000 views. That's cool. I like doing that kind of stuff. It's just fun. This is the first die that we saw in this roll with the die scratch. It's got that one little scratch right there on the top of the collar. That right there. That just happens to be a really low mark, really low area of the die itself, or high area of the die because it's low on the coin. No, I don't think those are feeder finger scratches. They're just die scratches. Feeder finger scrapes look very different from that. Don't have any in this roll. Got nothing special going on. More or less grading the coins at this point. I still haven't seen anything to turn in. Haven't yelled at the dogs in days now. It's because you don't like to talk. I get it. As soon as he starts talking, it gets a tickle in his throat and then goes into a coughing fit. Did it to me yesterday on the phone. I thought he was going to die. There is a known doubled ear on the 24P. I would have to see a photo of it to even know, first of all, whether I'm seeing a doubled ear, and second, whether it's something that would be a thing I would list. Hello, Mark. And Roger. Yeah, we've been talking about the trail dies we're getting in here. Some pretty decent stuff. Neat looking anyway. One die that was being used at this time that had trail dies on it. We ended up with getting a few of them in this roll. And then we've got this other little thing that is it's a little raised thing that looks like a sideways V in the middle of the shield. It's a really weird looking little thing. Next coin I see that's going to have it, I'll flip it over. I know what the obverse looks like on those. Shiny Coin Guy got a box from me. Yay! Man, that was fast. That went out Saturday. Sometimes they're really on the ball. Went out Saturday and it's only Tuesday. that one's not going to have it. That one's not going to have it. Still not a grader. It's got a little bit of blotching on the obverse, just a little bit, but it's not going to be a 67 level coin. With these newer ones, I would say 67 is going to be the difference between having a coin that would be worth a few dollars in a slab and one that would not. Another one of the trail dies. Those are cute. Nifty little things. Haha. Yeah, Victor retired from the U.S. Mint and left a memento. You know why he retired? Because he was told, turn in your notice or you're going to get fired for putting the V on the 23 cents. I know. Eric, you think that's a scrape or do you think it's die polishing? Feeder finger scrape or die polishing? You tell me. I've been saying it's die polishing, but there's some chance it could be a feeder finger scrape. Mr. Buyer will be the decision maker on this one for us because, well, polishing, that's what he says. Yep, that's what I said too. Finger scrape is usually quite different. Carl now. Carl got his share of coins out of this roll. That's going to be one of them right there. So we'll flip this one over and take a look at the reverse. So Roger, Mark, you guys want to see this. Has a little thing that looks like a V right in the middle of the shield. That little guy right there. Doesn't quite look the same on this coin as it does on some of the other ones, but it's about the same. Kind of a weird looking little thing. I don't know what it is. Usually a feeder finger is just 3 cut lines. Yep. And they're usually really polished and really, really shiny. And because they run over the die a number of times. And they're usually kind of thicker than polishing. A 100 rolls of Loomis 2024P. Contact me. That's a pretty clean looking coin right there. Except it's got these blotches. It's not a grater, but the design looks really clean. Finger scrape would continue across the neck without the gap. I sort of agree with you on that. I do. I do. Man, some of these coins are shiny. But there's so many of them have just a little spot or two. And that's going to yank them right out of a 67 slab. You don't want to submit 66s in a brand new coin. Just not going to grade high enough to be worth anything. You'll pay $25 for the slab and they'll pay you $5 for the coin when it comes time to sell it just because it happens to be in a slab. There's another one of them right there. See, that is that's just an interesting little mark right there. Hello, Tuck Virants. How come they haven't gotten rid of the spots? You talking about the spots on the coins? It's just a planchet wash. It's when they wash the planchets, they dry them off, and some of them get spots on them. And when that happens, the coins don't grade. for much of anything. Yep, another non-grader. Well, I know the fitter finger scrapes, what I believe are fitter finger scrapes on the wheat cents on the reverse anywhere, generally straight up and down, aren't they? So I've got some 38S's that are like that. Otherwise near perfect coins, but they've got these scrapes on the back of them. Did you saying about the spots on purpose? No, they just washed the planchets and the spots didn't dry off of them. If you talk about the feeder finger scrapes, that's an accidental thing that happens when the little rotating finger, that little steel finger that knocks the coins off of the press after they're finished being struck, the die gets in the way and those little feeder fingers will scrape into the die, and that will that'll leave a mark on the die that continues leaving a mark on coins. Kind of like die scratches, only this will be a die scrape. Stan? Nothing going on any of these. I'll grade these last few coins as I'm looking at them. And no, this one's got little spots on it too. What kind is this one? Is this... Okay, this is one of the normal obverse-ish coins, but it's got spots on it. You can see the spots. And those are going to keep it from grading high. In fact, pretty much every coin in this roll has just enough to keep it from grading real high. This one's got some dark spots on it too. Oh, tuck firings, it's been happening for a lot longer than since 2009, and it's just a part of the process. They can't change the wash after every 150, 200 coins, and that's what would have to happen in order for them to completely remove any chance that it's going to spot the coins. Planchet wash was a major issue in 1953 and 1954 at Philadelphia. So it's been going on for a long, long time. It's just part of the process of making coins. They're not making coins to be perfect. They're making coins for utilitarian purposes of being able to spend money. So they don't care that they have little spots on them when they make them. One more look at our little V thing, what it is. But there it is, right there above the E of 1. And that, folks, is going to make a finish to this row. Don't do quarters and nickels. All we do here is Lincoln Cents. Lincoln Cent website, Lincoln Cent information. Man, you can get a lot of that, but you're not going to get much in the way of quarters out of me. I know quarters are round and they spend for 25 cents. I've got some silver quarters here and there, but yeah, not much of nothing. A little circulation takes care of the spots, while at the same time it takes care of the perfect appearance of the rest of the obverse or in reverse. It kind of sort of scratches them a little bit, and I'd say the grading companies sort of frown upon that. All right, folks, love spending time with you, but I got to go, got to get some other work done. I appreciate it. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next time we have reveals. It will be next Monday. We'll do a roll reveal show. Sell rows for the coming week. I appreciate it, folks. I'll talk to you later.